Welcome back to another What's Sold weekend edition video. These are my eBay sales from Friday, November 7th until Monday, November 10th when I'm filming this. So let's jump into it. Pretty standard weekend, pretty decent. First thing that's sold is a pair of Lululemon textured fleece mittens. These came from Whatnot. And these sold on a best offer of $25 plus shipping. Next item to Christine, who's a viewer. She purchased this Longaberger recipe basket with, again, this is another one. I had one last week that had some recipe cards in it. This one also has some written in recipe cards. It also has some blank ones, but it's got some with the recipes. So I think that's kind of cool, in case you want to try them. If not, toss them out. Anyway, this sold for $35 plus shipping, and Christine also purchased this Yadro Angel figurine for $45 plus shipping. So thank you for your purchases. I hope you love everything. Next, I sold a set of Goody jumbo ponytail holders. These sold for $19 with free shipping. And the funny thing is, I actually picked up a vintage Goody hairbrush the same day that these sold, which was so weird. Like, there's been no action on these hair ties. And then right after I purchased that brush, these sold. Just the weirdest stuff happens sometimes on eBay. Next is a vintage Fossil Y2K wallet. This sold for $29.99 plus shipping. That came from the yard sale in September, I believe, maybe October, where I got a lot of the Christmas stuff. Then I sold a Rosenthal salt or pepper shaker, one or the other. I only had one shaker. This sold for $12 plus shipping. Next is a Lennox, a King is Born 10-piece nativity set. This was a recent pickup, I think back in October. This sold for $99.99 plus shipping. This came from a yard sale. Next is a Vintage Dimensions Hummingbird Needlepoint Kit, recent listing. This sold for $27.99 with free shipping. Next is a set of Scentsy almond croissant wax bars, a lot of 4 of them. They sold for $36.99 plus shipping. That was a fairly recent yard sale purchase. Then from a rummage sale last year, I picked up this Department 56 8 Maids of Milking. I actually think I got like maybe 10 different ones of these. This sold for $14.99 plus shipping. Next is a Department 56 Halloween Village building, Dead End Motel. This sold for $69.99 plus shipping. I need to get the rest of those listed because they're still selling. And this kind of stuff really does sell year round if somebody really wants it. So I really do need to get those listed. Next is a Brooks Brothers Fila t-shirt. This sold for, I sold the navy one last week on best offer. This one sold for full price of $58 plus shipping. Then I sold a Kurt Adler Hershey's figurine Thanksgiving turkey figurine. This sold for $14.99 with free shipping. I don't necessarily recommend picking these up. They're very, very slow to sell, and this one took a while. I think I picked this up around COVID time. Around COVID time, it was like one of the first yard sales that kind of opened up in May following COVID. Anyway, next is a Lilo and Stitch Ohana Means Family necklace. This sold for $29.99 plus shipping. That was a fairly recent pickup. Then I sold a T700 Terminator figurine. I picked this up over the summer. I got it listed a couple weeks ago. And it sold for $28.99 with free shipping. Next is, and that was fairly lightweight, so it wasn't a whole lot to ship. I think it was under the 1 pound range. Next is a Scentsy Dancing Sugar Plums Scentsy bar. This sold for $12.99 with free shipping. Then I sold a Longaberger Autumn Path Table Fabric Square. This sold for $29.99 plus shipping. Next, I sold 4 International Creation iced teaspoons. I think this was the last of this pattern that I had, at least the spoons. The spoons are all gone now. These sold for $59.99 plus shipping, so that was a good sale. Next, I sold a Sony Universal Remote Control. This sold for $17.99 with free shipping. That was a recent listing. Also a recent listing is this vintage Martex King fitted sheet. This sold for $25 plus shipping. Then I sold this American Girl doll, Kirsten's school dress and shawl. This sold for $35 plus shipping. This was also a fairly recent listing. Then I sold a pair of men's Wrangler Gant collab bootcut corduroy jeans. These were a Goodwill pickup over the winter. These sold for $49.99 plus shipping. Another Longaberger sale. This is a 72-inch lattice leaf table runner. This sold for $30 plus shipping. Next, I sold 2 vintage Hearthstone blueberry soup cereal bowls. These sold for $15 plus shipping. Another American Girl outfit sold. I listed this the same day I listed the other one that sold this weekend. This is a American Girl Just Like You pink heart dress and shoes. This sold for $17.99 with free shipping. Then I sold a Longaberger Woven Traditions bean pot, cookie jar, whatever you want to use it for. This sold for $49 plus shipping. Then I sold a Vera Bradley Lighten Up expandable travel tote. This sold for $38 plus shipping. That was a good Vera Bradley sale. Then I sold this vintage 90s crazy shirt, Hawaii Elephant Walk. This sold for $25 plus shipping. That came from an estate sale last winter. Then I sold this little Hawthorne Christmas Village accessory. It's just a North Pole petting zoo sign. This sold for $14.99 plus shipping. Next, I sold an all-clad Metal Crafters MC2 10-inch frying pan. This sold for $48 plus shipping. I did sell this once before and it came back because the buyer just changed his mind. So now it's on its way to another new home. Hopefully it stays. Next, I actually ended up selling both of these I had 2 of them and the buyer came back and bought the other one. So she bought both of them. These are Gemini Christmas Disney Magic Holiday Pathway lights. So the total was $110 plus shipping for the both boxes. Next, I sold the Cindy Crawford Meaningful Beauty 5-piece kit. This sold for $49.99 plus shipping. Then I sold a vintage Mario Jason Brutalist sculpture for $45 plus shipping, and the same buyer also purchased this Dooney and Burke Trixie crossbody bag for $45 and a combined shipping for her. Then I sold this set of Happy Tappers that I just picked up last weekend at my first Christmas sale of the year. If you guys remember, I said these would sell about $150 range, and they did. They sold for $165 actually. $165 plus shipping, and they sold in a week. So very good sale. Next, I sold a Danbury Mint New York Mets 2009 Christmas tree ornament. This sold for $25 plus shipping. Next, I sold a Liz Tech Artisan Frosty the Snowman pin. This sold for $69.99 plus shipping. Also a fairly recent purchase, I think back in September. Then I sold this pair of Brooks Ghost 14 women's size 7 running shoes. These sold for $39.99 plus shipping. Then also a recent pickup is this Ralph Lauren Rugby blazer. This sold on best offer of $65 plus shipping. I knew that was going to be a good seller. Then I sold 7 Oneida Community Brahms soup spoons, place oval soup spoons. These sold for $24.99 plus shipping. I just listed those the other day. And lastly, we have a Hawthorne Village, Village Antiques from the Kincaid's Christmas Village line. This sold for $30 plus shipping. So that is going to wrap up this weekend's What Sold video. Pretty solid weekend. Pretty solid weekend. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up today, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.